FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and with us today is Gerald Celente. You're definitely familiar with his TrendsJournal and what he's been talking about for the past 6 or 7 years. I've been reading him religiously. And Gerald, welcome, and tell us how you've been and what you've been up to.
Well, we're very busy here at the TrendsResearchInstitute. We have conferences. Matter of fact, we just had one in December, and we launched the top trends of 2015. Remember, that's December. Here we are in February, and much of what we have written is already starting to come to pass. And if people want to learn more about it, the entire conference, 5.5 hours, is available at our website, TrendsResearch.com. And what we're really looking at in 2015 is this is the game-changer year. Big events are happening globally and nationally that are going to really indicate a lot of what the future is going to look like. And at this point, it doesn't look so bright.
What are you thinking?
On the economic front, they had one good month of numbers for unemployment and new job creation, and you look behind the numbers, and there was job creation, and most of the sectors were retail, and that doesn't make sense to me because I looked at retail sales in December, and they were down, way below expectations. They ran in negative. I believe it was 0.9%, and then you have health aides and bartenders and waiters and waitresses, and those aren't very high-paying jobs. And then you look at the numbers, and it doesn't add up because we see cutbacks in all those other fields. So when we look at the numbers beyond that, you're seeing oil prices, they're rebounding somewhat, but this has more to do with supply and demand issues, and virtually every commodity that China is buying is at 5.5-year lows. For example, 40% of the new copper that's produced each year, China used to gobble up. And now China's in a massive slowdown, and you see what's happening to copper prices, 5.5, 6-year lows. You see countries around the world lowering interest rates to record lows, hoping to increase their exports because if their currency is too high, their products to be exported are too expensive. Well, who are they going to export it to? So, because everybody's slowing down. And so that's on the economic front. We see absolutely no recovery. You're seeing negative interest rates in places like Denmark and other countries where they're trying to protect their currencies, so it's costing you money to put money in their bank. Yeah. It's 0.75% now, I believe, in Denmark. So it's a currency war as well. They're trying to keep this thing afloat. You saw what happened with the European Union, where they came out with their brand of quantitative easing. Essentially, they're going to be pumping in about 60 billion euros a month to eternity. They said that there's really no end. It may be in September of 2016, but it may not be. So it's just one big Ponzi scheme. And then you look on the geopolitical front. The Middle East is up for grabs. Hey, remember Obama back in August? He made that humanitarian speech. We're going into Iraq. We're not going to put boots on the ground, and this is not a military exercise. We're going to save them Yazidis on the mountain. Everybody knows what a Yazidi is. I mean, you got 7 of them living across the street from you. So everybody bought the BS, and now bombs away. Yeah. Oh, no, these aren't troops on the ground, Celente. How dare you say that? They're advisors, little boys and girls.
Like Vietnam, right?
Just like it, man. Just like it, just like Vietnam, another war based on lies, keeps going on lies. And what do we lose? Only 58,000 Americans in Vietnam, 250,000 wounded. Mm-hmm. And look what's going on, Kerry. 22 troops that have come back from Iraq, Afghanistan, military, are committing suicide every day. Look at the hell that these poor men and women have been put through.
Terrible.
And no, it's not making the news. Hey, how about those Grammy Awards or whatever they had on, huh? Weren't they something? Hey, what do you think about that Kardashians going on? You know, and this is what it's come to. So, and then the geopolitical front, I'm only mentioning part of the Middle East. Yeah. You know, bombs away in Syria. We're bombing Syria. What if Syria bombed us? Yeah, you guys got some bad peoples over there in America, and we's gonna bomb you. Oh yeah, how would that sit with you? Yeah. And then you look what's going on in the Ukraine. A war, anybody, if they want to do the research, they could look it out with TrendsJournals. They could go to drpaulcraigroberts.org sites. You could go online, do your work. This is the Ukraine overthrow of the democratically elected government of Yanukovych was totally engineered by the United States. The proof is with the audio tapes of our Assistant Secretary of State, Victoria Nuland, and that little boy playing ambassador to the United States, Jeffrey Pyatt. And it's there for everyone. There's December 2013, Victoria Nuland at the Washington Press Club saying how, yeah, she's saying this, I'm not making this up. Ukrainians are Europeans. And the future of Europe, Ukrainians are to join with the path set forth by the International Monetary Fund. Oh, they are? They're Ukraine? I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were. I'm sure that, you know, that whole Russian-speaking part of it doesn't consider themselves Europeans. But hey, if Victoria Nuland, whose husband's a low-life Slimer neocon, Robert Kagan, yeah, Robert, I'll call you that to your face, you warmongering sicko. So they're selling the wars. And get this in your head. Get this in your head. You're not going to beat the Russians. Napoleon couldn't do it. Hitler launched the greatest military offensive in world history and couldn't do it. You know, there's a great chart people could go look up of Napoleon's march to Moscow. He left the Polish border with 422,000 men. He came back with 10,000. Yeah,
you know that.
So and all of these prostitutes out there, everybody's pumping war. Nobody is speaking peace. Amazing. No one, except us. We're launching Occupy Peace on May 2nd from the historic corners of Colonial Kingston, New York, to honor thy founding fathers, beginning with George Washington, a real commander-in-chief, not like one of these little boys that plays golf, drives pickup trucks, shoots pool, and plays basketball. No, this is a guy that led the troops across the Delaware. You know, in this terrible winter storm, I was thinking, well, now they closed down New York State for an inch and a half of snow. Anyway, at his farewell address, he tells the nation not to become involved in foreign entanglements. And guess what? There were foreign entanglements back then.
Yes, there were. And got to wonder what he would be thinking about now, seeing the country.
He'd be turning in his grave along with Franklin, along with Jefferson, along with Madison, along with Adams, as these little boys and girls who could never fight their way out of a paper bag and only talk tough with all their flunkies around them, are telling us that we have to go to more war.
Yeah. Terrible. Terrible. And is there any way out here?
Well, that's what we're doing. We're launching Occupy Peace. Yeah, if they could launch us into it, we could get us out of it. When enough people stand up and fight back, you know, again, look how easy it is. Look how easy it is to use propaganda to get young men and women to go die for war. And look how difficult it is to speak about peace.
Yeah.
It's a disease. It's a mental disorder, and it's become a national infection of the brain. And because they keep pumping up these wars. Well, the war is let's everybody get this straight. George Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz, all of the rest, Colin Powell, the perfect name, by the way. Crap passes through the colon. And boy, it really passed through his mouth as he sold us the war to the United Nations, holding up a little test tube there and showing that we have proof that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda. The proof was never given to us. It was based on, let's call it false information rather than lies.
Right.
And we're still fighting it? And there's no trial, no jury. Who knew what when? That ruined the lives of so many, destroyed an entire nation. Hey, listen, Kerry, if you were an Iraqi and your family was blown to little pieces by Americans, you think you'd want to get even?
I'm going to be too happy, that's for certain.
I'd want to get even.
US. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
You came in, you destroyed my country. You killed my family. You destroyed my future. You put me in jail and tortured me. Who the hell are you? Go back to your own country. What are you doing here? Oh, no, we're the exceptionals. Exceptional murders. You know, this thing with this guy, this American sniper, we did a piece on it. Why is everybody, coming out against him? Look at our president of the United States. He says, quote, according to the book Double Down, I'm really good at killing people when he talks about his drone strikes.
Yeah.
And then he moralizes at these national prayer breakfasts about the Ten Commandments. Hey, anybody ever hear thou shalt not kill?
Yeah, that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah. Major. Yeah, well, so
anyway, that's where we're going, yeah, and so we can see this thing on a downward spiral. And by the way, that's why they're militarizing the entire Western culture. You saw with this Charlie Hebdo thing over there in France. Okay, two guys killed 17, or three killed 17 people. How many did the French kill in Libya? The war started by Sarkozy. And the United States and their allies, the UK, over 30,000 it's reported.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. And now they're in Mali, right? Yeah. It's all right. You're the French. You could go anywhere you want. You could kill anybody that you want. And by the way, the French are as dumb as the Americans, because Hollande's popularity rating now went from 12% to over 50%. 12%. The same thing happened with little Georgie Bush. He was hovering under 50% just before 9/11, and he just got elected, which is unprecedented for a new president to go that low in the polls. After 9/11, Maron, he was, hail to the chief, man. The cat was back up into the 90 percentile range.
Remember that. Yeah, remarkable. So
what they're doing is they're doing this because now what they've done in France and Europe and the United States is they've gotten people used to militarizing the streets. Because as the economies break down, people are going to lose it. As I say, when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. So all of this is, as we see it, with the troops out there now on the streets. You saw the militarization of our government over here, the raping of our rights from the National Defense Authorization Act on down. So as the economies collapse and people start becoming angry, as I said, when people lose everything and nothing left to lose, they lose it, the militarization of the police. Sure. And what we're doing with Occupy Peace is we want to prevent that.
So how do we find out more about Occupy Peace? How do we get involved in it?
Go to our website that we put up, occupypeace.us. It's only for the United States. If they want to do one in another country, go do it. You're not welcome with this one. This is about we the people. And it's, again, to honor thy founding fathers and upon which this nation was built. And that's what we're trying to do our best. And we're launching it from the most historic four corners in the United States where the seeds of democracy were sown, here in colonial Kingston. The mayor's given us permission to close down the streets. One building is 1750. Another one is 1661, 1761. Another one is 1763. And the other one is the 1774 Academy. And it's the only place where there's a stone building that predates the Revolutionary War on each corner. And by the way, 90% of our Constitution was taken from the Constitution that was written here when Kingston was the capital of New York State. And jurors such as John Jay and 3 other Supreme Court justices came from the courthouse right across the street from us over here.
Right.
So what we're doing is bringing back what this country used to be about, not with these lunatics, maniacs, sociopaths, and psychopaths by the names of Bush and Obama, Madeleine Albright, Susan Rice, Samantha Rice, Condoleezza Rice, Samantha Powers, Condoleezza Rice, Susan Rice, and have destroyed the Clintons and on and on. So if they could destroy it, we can repair it. Let's fix Detroit rather than build nations overseas. Let's repair the roads, bring our infrastructure up to 21st century. Let's create jobs. Let's rebuild America and restore the greatness that it once had rather than fighting in foreign entanglements.
Yeah, well, we really do need to just leave the foreign countries, the foreign continents, and come back here and just stop this madness. I mean, look what it's done here. Just growing up in the 60s, this was a different country, I'm
heartbroken. I go to the airport. I look at the people, what we've become.
Yeah.
They say pigs can't fly. Yes, they can. They're out there, man. It's a disgrace what's happened.
Yeah.
We've lost our dignity, our courage, our self-respect. Let's bring it back.
Yeah. Well, is it gone or is it salvageable, Gerald?
Well, of course it is. Yeah, if they could destroy it, why not? Look, the Renaissance happened after the Black Death in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Over 60% of Europe was decimated.
Mm-hmm. That is true. You have
what did they do?
There. Yeah.
They reached back. They realized what they were doing was deadly.
Mm-hmm.
And what, in Florence at the height of the Renaissance, they would say, alla Romana alla antica, in the manner of the Romans and the ancients to describe the quality of their work.
Yeah.
Let's bring back the quality that America used to be, when our buildings were grand, when our people stood proud, when we had jobs that created middle-income families, when we cared about what we did and it wasn't a bottom-line society. Yeah, we did it before and we could do it again.
So there's like one thing that you can do to start down this path. What's the most important thing you can do as an individual to begin the trek back?
As, again, only speaking for myself and everything that I say, and I want everyone listening to understand that this is just the way I see it. I don't tell anybody what to believe or what to think. The motto of the Trends Research Institute is think for yourself.
For yourself.
And to me, it's getting in shape,
mm-hmm.
physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yeah.
Truth is not an abstract. As I mentioned, the Iraq War was based on factual information. It wasn't the truth. The truth it's solid. So bring back morality. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah.
Would you go bomb another? Would you want the people that you're bombing bomb you? And then when it happens, you cry, "Oh, the terrorists!" How about getting even? So get in shape, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Everything that you put in your body, make sure it's the highest quality. Less is more. Less of that junk food and more of what, is of high quality. It's going to cost you more, but you'll eat less of it because it's more nutritious. And again, I begin my day by meditating every morning. I just want to stop as much of the movie that's going on in my head as I can, so I could get clear and look at things the way they are, and not to let it get caught up in my own emotions. And again, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. morality is a real thing. Whatever God or whatever you believe in, it's all the same. It's again, do unto others you would have them do unto you.
That's a great point. And yeah, getting into shape, and because when you're fat and out of shape and you just sit there, and then you're susceptible to whatever lies they tell you, and right, you're dependent.
That's right. We have on our website, we had him at the last conference, actually, June and Stanley Blum. Stanley and June are 95 years old. Stanley began painting at 80. He was a shoe salesman for 37 years. He said it took him a while to mature. He's just finished his 5th book of art and poetry. And he's a real inspiration. And he talked about what really drove him to change. And it was after 9/11. And he said, what we need now is an American Enlightenment period. And I totally agree with him. And I mentioned him and June, because they're still living life to the fullest. June says, we're not letting old age stop us. We're getting past old age. And that's the way I look at it as well. The older you get, you've been around long enough, you know the deal. And you know the ups and downs and in and outs, and it's hard to get BS'd. So that's why I believe they used to, in the old days, respect the elders. Because when you've been hanging around the planet a bit, you've been awake, you know the score.
Absolutely. I think that's really inspiring. So are you, Gerald. Well, thank you for coming on. Just tell us again where we find out more about your movement and connecting with you.
Well, the movement's Occupy Peace. And again, this isn't going to be a rally to just yell and scream. We're going to have action plans in place, takeaways. This is what you do, step 1, step 2, step 3. And we're working on those, so this isn't going to be a rally just where it comes and goes. This is going to go and continue. And our website is TrendsResearch.com. You can find out about our conferences, the TrendsJournal. We do Trends in the News every Monday through Friday. Trends Monthly. So it's really the only place that we know of where you could find history before it happens.
All right. Well, hey, it really is inspiring, Gerald, and definitely going to try to make the next conference, and want to thank you for coming on, and we'll be talking to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for all that you do, Kerry.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.